You know, I think about him all the time. Uh, he was a friend and a brother. I loved him, and I'm sure I'm speaking for a lot of other people who knew him. Michael Wilbon knew him better. All of the players that were close to him in the NBA, his true contemporaries, they obviously knew him better than me. But to be 12 years older than him and to have known him since he entered the league, or even before that, I met him once before that when he was in Ardmore, Pennsylvania, Lower Merion. But to know him for as long as I did, you know, again, 12 years older than him, I looked up to him. Because you used the words, you know, just intellectually curious. I'll just simply say he was brilliant. He spoke 3 languages fluently, obviously English, Spanish, and Italian. I believe that he was almost finished, if he had not already been finished, learning German and Mandarin. Just a brilliant brother, business savvy, highly intellectual, incredibly tenacious in everything that he decided to do. And he was a true motivator. He was about pushing you to be all that you could be. He certainly did that with me. We used to talk about what he looked at me doing. Some of the career aspirations that I have fed off of conversations with him because he was that brilliant. And when he spoke, you listened because you knew that he was somebody that had something very, very significant to say. He wasn't about the games. The only game he was about was the game of life and pursuing it with a level of vigor that could ultimately help you ascend to heights that you did not even know that you could reach. And when you talk about him being who he was clearly an ambassador as well, because he was somebody that grew strength over recognizing his ability to motivate so many other people, because when he was younger, that wasn't the case. He came across as being about himself. He was about winning at all cost, having that tenacious mentality, becoming a champion, solidifying himself as one of the greats to have ever played this game. And then obviously, through trials and tribulations, he grew to appreciate so many more things about his life and about the life of so many other people, particularly that of his wife, his beautiful children. The list goes on and on and on. And so as a result of that, he just became more and more comfortable in his own skin. And the more he conquered challenges, the more at peace he became. And, you know, just being a 5-time champion, a league scoring champion, a league MVP, an Olympic gold medalist, and all of this other stuff, just the phenomenal things that he had accomplished in his career. The last time I saw him was on New Year's Eve, 3.5 weeks before he passed away. And, you know, we were partying together at New Year's Eve in LA. And it was the happiest that I had ever seen him. He was completely at peace. His guard was down. Anything that he had to prove was only to himself. He knew that he had reached a point, a stratosphere in his life and in his world where he was completely validated, and there was nothing else to debate or argue about his stature, his cachet, and his ascension in the world of sports and beyond. And so when you look at that, to know Kobe for as long as I've known him, the Mike Wilbons of the world, and so many others that have been covering the NBA for so long, to see him in that place mentally, emotionally, spiritually, it was just not only incredibly uplifting, it was just a beautiful, beautiful thing to see. Because at age 41, just imagine that for a second, y'all, to be 41 years of age and to know, okay, you've achieved the level of success, wealth, significance, cachet, all of these different things. There are no more questions. The only pressure that's left in your life is the pressure you bring on yourself, and that's it. We all dream to have that to reach that kind of place mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And he was at a point where, again, talking about his beautiful daughter, Gianna, she's going to UConn, Stephen A. She's going to be All-American, Stephen A. She's going to the WNBA, and she's going to be a star in that too. Wait until you see this girl. That's how he talked about her. He loved all his children, and he was so in love with his wife, Vanessa, to know that at age 41, such a wonderful life, what he had evolved into, such a wonderful person is gone from us. Read Bill Plaschke's column in the Los Angeles Times today. It pretty much says it all. Still can't believe he's gone. You still feel his presence. You still feel him around you. But that presence that you feel also serves to remind you that he is no longer here. And when you see that video of him sitting courtside with his daughter and LeBron coming over to hug him, look at the smile that was on his face. Look at how happy he was and how content he was with his life and where he was, his place in it. And then to see him gone now, it just still hurts. It hurts a lot, and it's gonna hurt for a very, very long time. I think it's gonna hurt forever, because no matter how much further in life we all go, the fact that you know that he was gone at the age of 41 is just something that's pretty damn hard to get over, when he had so much that he was still willing to, looking forward to giving the world. God has a plan for all of us, we understand that. But some are a bit more harder to stomach.
How will you remember Kobe?
Well, as a person, to the extent that I knew him, and I knew him a little bit when I was in LA, I communicated with him pretty regularly. I was there for 6 years. He was, the first thing I think is he loved his family. Like, he loved his family. And he was interested in trying to make the world a better place. And what struck me about him is he was intellectually curious. Kobe was extremely bright. When I think of the smartest athletes I've ever been around, Kobe's name pops to mind. But he was just, forget about, of the smartest athletes, he was just a very bright guy. And though he didn't have a ton of formal education, because he went right from high school to the pros, he had a worldly education. And he was a pleasure to talk to and interesting to talk to. But Stephen A., the reason we're interested in Kobe Bryant, the reason we got to know him, is because he's one of the greatest basketball players who ever lived. And his position in the American and even worldwide sports landscape, I think, is this. In a world where everyone wanted to be like Mike, and I brought this up after his tragic passing, there's only one man who dared to try to do it. He didn't try to some kind of asymmetrical approach like LeBron James, who clearly idolized Jordan but did something different, a hybrid of Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson. He wasn't a big like Shaq or someone like that, or he didn't try to do it some other way. He said, it seemed, when he looked at Jordan as a little kid, that's my spirit animal right there. I want to do that. I want to be a better version of that. Turned out to be the same size, same game, kind of dressed and talked similarly, and tried to do it better than Mike, even wore 24. He was the only guy in the whole world that wanted to be like Mike, who was basically playing one-on-one with Michael Jordan his entire career. Because Jordan set the standard, and Kobe said, I want to do that, and I want to do it by doing the same thing but better. That level of competitiveness, that level of drive, is what I'll always remember about Kobe Bryant. And when people talk about Mamba mentality, that's what it is. No matter what your grasp, no matter what your reach, may your reach always exceed your grasp. That was Kobe Bryant, and it seemed, in fact, that nothing could exceed his grasp, and that he had the world in his hands. Even after his career, Stephen A., where he immediately wins an Academy Award, and I always believed was eventually going to own the Los Angeles Lakers, he was so vital and present. It is still shocking to think that he's no longer in the world, and those are my thoughts.